one of your hosts, Jennifer Simpson Carr, and today we are diving into a topic that is redefining visibility and reputation for law firms. It is how PR and media strategy are evolving in the era of AI. Joining me today is our Director of Media Relations at Fury Rubel, Becky Bergman. Hi, Becky.
Hi, Jennifer.
Becky plays a key role in helping our clients build trusted reputations through strategic media engagement. She has just returned from the PRSA International Conference in Washington, D.C., where they share the latest trends that are shaping our industry, where the media is front and center, and all of the latest and greatest from the PR and media experts throughout the country. So, Becky, thank you so much for joining me for your first episode of On Record PR.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm thrilled to be here. The conversations happening right now in PR are so exciting and honestly so critical for how brands build trust and visibility in the years ahead.
Things are changing so quickly on the tech front, and it's very easy to really silo out media, PR, separately AI and technology. All of those things integrate. So, this is going to be a very exciting and informative conversation because we know at the agency all of those things impact the great work that you do for the agency and for our clients. But before we dive into that and all of the trends, since this is your first time joining the show, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your role at Fury Rubel and the incredible work that you do for our clients?
Yes, thank you. So absolutely. So as Director of Media Relations, I lead our effort to connect clients with journalists and publications that align with their goals. So that includes developing story angles, crafting pitches, and ensuring that when our clients appear in the media, it supports their overall reputation and business objectives. The media landscape has changed dramatically even in just the last year. And as you know, reporters are stretched thin and technology is influencing how stories are found and written. So our work isn't just about earning coverage, it's about strategically positioning clients where both people and algorithms will find them.
So it's interesting because you also bring up another kind of converging point here, which is technology is changing really fast. But as you and Sarah and the media and PR team have continued to share with us and the clients, the newsrooms have changed really significantly, particularly as a result of COVID. So those are all great points, and they tie into this broader shift that we've been discussing pretty heavily on the podcast, which is how AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and even Google AI search results are changing how people search and consume information. This is not industry agnostic, it includes the legal industry, and we tell our clients and prospects every day they're winning and losing business online that they didn't even know was out there. So, while on the podcast, we've covered the technical side of GEO, generative engine optimization in many episodes. I want to focus today with you on how these changes are influencing PR strategy. So, from a media standpoint, how does this impact how you approach pitching?
Well, it's definitely influencing how we think. Reporters are using AI tools to research and verify information faster than ever. So when we pitch, credibility and clarity matter more than ever. If your company doesn't have a clear digital footprint, which includes bios, consistent messaging, and visible press coverage, it's harder for journalists to confirm your story or your expertise. So in that sense, AI is raising the bar for everyone. Strong PR now means being discoverable, credible, and verifiable, not just newsworthy.
So let's talk about pitching even more specifically. How should teams be adjusting their approach in this new environment?
Well, that's an interesting question. So the fundamentals of good pitching really haven't changed. Relationships, relevance, and timeliness still matter most, as you know, but AI has added a layer of visibility strategy to the overall process. When I pitch now, I think not only about whether a reporter will open the email, but also whether that outlet's coverage will ultimately appear where audiences and AI tools are looking. For example, some major publications block AI crawlers, which I didn't know that before the PRSA conference a couple weeks ago. So while a placement there might build prestige, it won't necessarily feed into the generative engines, how they see your brand. That doesn't mean we abandon those top tier outlets. It just means that we balance them with AI friendly publication, trades, and digital platforms that will strengthen your overall footprint.
So, a word that we've heard a lot over the last many years is omni-channel. This idea of if you're going to publish something, take an approach for all these different channels to find people where they are. And it sounds like that strategy also applies a bit to the pitching strategy, which is diversifying the visibility. If I heard you correctly, it's about earning credibility through a mix of placements so that both people, humans, and these AI machines can find the content and the thought leadership and the sources that law firms and lawyers are providing.
Yes, exactly. And our listeners can think of it as building layers of visibility. Your name should appear in outlets people trust and in the spaces where information is being sourced by the AI system. That way, no matter how someone or something is searching, your message and credibility are always consistent.
So let's shift to reputation management. It's something we've talked a lot about on the podcast, and you mentioned that PR is still the trust layer. How does that play out in practical terms for law firms?
Well, that's a great question. So, reputation today is about accuracy and accessibility. Law firms are high trust entities, and journalists need to know that when they quote or feature a lawyer, that information is correct and verifiable. That's why we encourage every firm to maintain a strong source of truth on their website, an updated about page, leadership bios, press releases, and an in the news section that highlights earned coverage. When a journalist or an AI system goes to learn about your firm, that page becomes the anchor for credibility. In times of crisis, this becomes even more important. The statement that you publish on your website can quickly become the facts that both the media and AI models reference. Yes.
So we know that PR isn't just about storytelling anymore. You said that earlier in our conversation. It's really about structuring and maintaining truth in the public record.
Yes, exactly. And the more transparent and consistent your communication, the stronger your credibility, whether it's in the eyes of the press, client, or technology.
So, this has been a really interesting conversation. We are going to pause here for a message from our sponsor. And for our listeners, when we get back, Becky is going to talk us through some actionable steps that you can take to start to strengthen your firm's visibility and reputation, and also talk about the future of PR and media in this evolving landscape.
This episode is brought to you by Furia Rubel Communications, a public relations and marketing agency serving law firms and businesses worldwide. With an expert team positioned throughout the U.S. and supported by an international faculty, Furia Rubel enhances our clients' brands through integrated communications by providing expert guidance in crisis management and high-profile litigation, protecting brand and reputation, and supporting internal marketing teams. To learn more, visit furiarubel.com.
I'd love for you to share with our listeners a few actionable steps that they could take back to their firms this week to strengthen their media visibility and reputation in light of everything we know about the evolving tech and AI landscape.
I'm so glad that you asked this. I actually have 4 great tips that every firm should take this week. One, audit your digital presence. And this means making sure that your About Us page or About the Firm page, leadership bios, and recent news are up to date. Number 2, centralize your coverage. Create or refresh a news or press page that includes every placement with a link and a brief description. And 3, be proactive with your media list. Balance major outlets with high quality niche publications that allow the AI crawling. And 4, nurture the relationships. Follow the journalists that you admire and that you like, engage with their work, and have conversations with them if possible, and provide useful insights, not just pitches. And finally, remember that credibility compounds. Every accurate, valuable, well placed story reinforces your reputation. And that's what fuels both human trust and the AI visibility.
That's fantastic. And we will have a breakout of those actionable tips in our show notes. If you were to pull out your crystal ball and look ahead, how do you see the role of PR evolving over the next year or two as AI continues to advance?
Well, I know I sound like a broken record, but I am extremely excited for what the next year or two hold. Certainly, we don't know what to come, but I think that we will start to see PR and communication teams become even more data-driven and tech-savvy, but also more relationship-focused. The tools will keep changing, but as you know, trust is always going to be the differentiator. And I think that firms that treat PR as a strategic, ongoing conversation and not just a one-time announcement, they will be the ones that are shaping the stories that AI tells about them.
So, first of all, I love your enthusiasm because you bring it to work every day. And I think that your point about trust being the differentiator is really what I see sets our PR team apart. I know, for example, when we get on a call and say, here's a really interesting opportunity for this firm, or here's a story that they're about to be able to tell. I just see the spark in your eyes and how excited you get because of the relationship you've made with so many reporters, editors, journalists, producers over your, several decades in journalism, and how excited you get to connect the stories that our clients want to tell with the people who trust you to tell meaningful stories based on the beats they cover, the outlets they work for. I mean, I'm in awe of you, Sarah, and the PR team every day. So I
Thank you.
love your point about, no, of course, I love your point about trust being the differentiator. The other thing I learned in this conversation, and I think is really important to point out before we, wrap our time together, is that, I approach this conversation thinking about how GEO and all of the content and thought leadership that's placed is really serving the clients and the prospects. The media is also looking to verify the credibility of the sources that you and our media team are pitching. And
Yes.
so there is another group of stakeholders out there that should be considered as part of your content strategy, your media strategy. So when someone incredible like Becky shares your story with a potential writer of that story or teller of that story. Make it easy for those individuals to find you and your lawyers online to validate that you are the source that they want to be speaking with. Did I summarize that correctly?
You did. And
Okay.
just keep in mind, it all comes down to relationships and authenticity and just telling people stories and just remembering that these AI tools and the technology that we have at our hands today are to enhance what we already do, not replace what we do.
Thank you for a great conversation. I want to remind our listeners that if you are responsible for your firm's visibility, communications, thought leadership strategy, this is an episode to share with your colleagues and your team. It is how things are changing. It is how media teams and agencies are supporting the great work that your law firms and your attorneys are doing every day. Becky, thank you for your time and insights. I know this was your first time. I truly hope it is not your last, and thank you very much again.
Thank you. It was an awesome conversation with you, Jennifer.
On Record PR is produced by Jennifer Simpson Carr and Matt Henderson, with support from the team at Furia Rubel Communications. This episode is edited by Isabel Horan and Christian Yamula. Visit www.onrecordpr.com for resources and more information.